Hello, everyone. I'm Brother Austin. I'm out in Minnesota, and I'm happy to give this little meditation reflection on Nicodemus and how he's a figure of hope for us, especially during Holy Week. So, Nicodemus, I find him to be a particularly relatable character. I've struggled with timidity in my life, and I've seen it also grow to moments of great courage in my life. And so let's take a look at how hope has impacted Nicodemus' life and how it can impact ours. John chapter 3. This is the first time we meet Nicodemus. He goes to meet Jesus at night. He's concerned about his reputation as a public figure. He doesn't want others to know that he's interested and curious about Jesus. Well, he meets Jesus at night, but then leaves and nothing seems to happen. He's kind of just fades into the background of the gospel until we see one more moment of him in John chapter 7. The Pharisees are accusing Jesus of false claims, of calling himself the Messiah when they don't believe him. Nicodemus actually stands up to his fellow Pharisees for the first time publicly saying, hey, I think we need to hold off here in our quick to accuse Jesus. We might be missing something profound here. This might be God. And he is publicly rebuked and jeered at by his peers. But then again, he fades into the background, and we don't really hear about Nicodemus. So we can think, is anything really changing with Nicodemus? He's been curious, he's made this small act of courage, but is it really changing? And aren't there things like that in our life where we're hopeful something is going to change in our life? We're curious about it changing, and how can it change? Is God really working? Is His grace effective in me? But again, it just seems to fade into the background, and it can feel like nothing really changes. But then there's these moments where we see where grace actually conquers in the end when we persevere. And we see this during Holy Week, obviously in the life of Jesus, in his death and resurrection, where grace and new life conquers even over death. But we see it also in Nicodemus. Joseph of Arimathea goes to Pilate, and he asks for the body of Jesus so he can bury it. Nicodemus must have known about this and decides to go with. He not only does that, but he purchases 100 pounds of burial ointments and anoints the body of Jesus. What a privilege, right? He's there at one of the most profound moments in salvation history. And he is, by doing this, making a public statement that I am with Jesus, that I believe this man was a righteous man when everyone else has condemned him today, that he is publicly standing with one who has been condemned, and therefore probably putting his own life at stake as well. So we see the beautiful progression of Nicodemus, and this also teaches us about hope, where from this small step at meeting with Jesus at night to taking a small but bold step in courageously publicly declaring that we should consider Jesus, to now embracing the full cost of discipleship, embracing the fact his reputation might be ruined and perhaps even his life in danger. We see the progression of hope, the benefit of persevering in hope, that grace does not disappoint in the end, that hope does not disappoint in the end. So for all of us in this Holy Week, let's look to Nicodemus and think about the things in our life that we hope will change, these areas of virtue that we want to grow. We can be confident in the grace that Jesus has won for us on the cross, especially because the love of God has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, that our proximity, our abiding in Jesus will at the end conquer all of our sin, all of these areas we know need to change in our life, to be conformed to Jesus. So thanks be to God, we have this sure and steadfast hope, this anchor for the soul in Jesus. Have a blessed Holy Week, and I'm praying for you all. God bless.